Hey, I'm Charlie. Welcome back, and this video is on how to use Google Earth. So let's go over the basics of what this video is going to cover. What you need. We'll talk about what you need in order to use Google Earth. We'll talk about how to open Google Earth, how to set up the settings in Google Earth. We'll talk about how to navigate in Google Earth, what Google Earth tells you, the information that it's telling you that you'll need to solve the problems in this lab, and how to measure in Google Earth, again, so you can answer the questions in lab. So what do you need for Google Earth? Well, you're going to need a mouse. Touchpads just don't work. You need to be able to click and drag, and I can't do that on a touchpad. Maybe you can. A $5 gas station mouse ought to do the trick. It doesn't have to be fancy, just the cheapest, simplest mouse you can get. Also, you're going to want to use a screen larger than your phone. A tablet, a laptop, whatever, do it at school. You'll just probably be really frustrated and won't understand what's going on because you won't be able to see all the details if you're trying to do this lab on your phone. So, how to open Google Earth? That's going to be super duper duper easy. All you're going to do is click on the link in the assignment. So let's see how that works. Okay, so here we've got the Lab 12 Google Earth and Rates of Movement quiz. We've opened up the quiz and it tells you before you begin the exercise, make sure that Google Earth is set up so that the units of measurement are set to meters and kilometers. So for the lab assignments that involve Google Earth, I'll make sure and tell you at the beginning of the assignment what the units of measurement should be set to. Latitude, longitude formatting is set to decimal degrees. We'll take a look at that. That we won't change. And then finally, map style. Turn on 3D buildings should be on. Otherwise, your elevation values could be wrong. So to start Google Earth, you just click on the link. Yes, that's fine. It opens up Google Earth automatically. It loads the project. It signs me in. And so now we can start with the settings. So I'm going to go to Tools. I'm going to go to Settings. And I'm going to animation speed. You can play around with that. Rendering quality, depending on how fast your computer is, you may want to set this to fastest or to highest quality. For units of measurement, it's going to show you feet and miles. We want meters and kilometers. For the next lab, when we get into lab 13 on topographic maps, we're going to have to change this to feet and miles, and then we'll leave it feet and miles. But for today, we'll just use meters and kilometers. For lab 12, it's meters and kilometers. And then down here in the lower right-hand corner, you can see that it's got the latitude and longitude, except the formatting looks weird. It's 40 degrees and then 46 minutes, 5 seconds north, 120 degrees, 29 minutes, 28 seconds west. We want to set that to decimal. So you shouldn't be able to see any of the minutes and seconds marks, which look like a single and double quote. It should just be a number. So at this point, I've got 40.768216 degrees north, 120 degrees, 0.491232 degrees west. It's also telling us right now the camera altitude, how high above the ground we are. Our virtual viewpoint is anyway, 3,000 kilometers, because we've set this to meters and kilometers. Memory cache, you can play around with that, but those are all the changes that we needed to make. We were just looking at meters and kilometers and decimal degrees. So we can click done. Then we can go to layers. Layers, you can change the style. You could have no borders. You could have some labels. You could have everything labeled. I'm going to leave it on exploration. And the only thing that we need to change in the layers, actually need to change, is to make sure that 3D buildings is turned on. If that's not on, it actually calls to a different elevation layer and your elevation numbers are going to be wrong. So you want to make sure 3D buildings is on. Now we can close that. So that was how to open Google Earth. That was how to set up the settings. Next up is how to navigate. And navigating, you can either zoom in, zoom out using the mouse. You can click and drag to move around in Google Earth. You can, if you zoom in, and well, let's double click. Let's double click on the first one, Pointy Canada. and it flies me there. It zooms me in. And so now it's showing down here in the lower right, it's got the camera altitude, 134 meters. It's got the latitude and longitude, and you can see it's in decimal degrees. And then it's got the cursor elevation relative to sea level. So wherever the tip of the cursor is, you can see as I move the cursor, the latitude and longitude change, and also the elevation changes. The camera altitude doesn't change because we're not zooming in or zooming out, but the elevation under the cursor changes. So, for example, under that cursor, it looks like negative 177 meters. So let's navigate to the ARC field. Again, I'm going to double click on it, and it zooms me out, zooms me in, and it says that we're supposed to measure the distance from the north end of the grass to the south end of the grass. And one of the cool things, as long as we're here, if you shift click, you can tilt and rotate your view, which is super, super, super fun. But then sometimes you might like get everything all messed up. Like, I don't know what I'm looking at anymore. If that happens, you can just close out that window, go back to the quiz, and click on the link to open Google Earth again, and it'll bring you back to where you should be. So one of the secret keys that is going to be really helpful for you at this point is the R key. If I just press the letter R, it resets the view so that north is straight up. Oh, there we are. So that north is straight up, and it also removes the tilt. So here I've rotated it so that we're now looking east from ARC. And you can see that I've tilted. If I press the R button, it fixes the tilt as well as the rotation. So that's two ways to get your view back if you find that you've messed up your view. So we're going to measure now. So I'm just going to go to the measure tool. I'm going to click once to start. I'm going to click again. And now if I'm done, I can either double click to finish this or click on the done button. And then it's telling me what the length is in centimeters. It's telling me centimeters because I had set that previously. If you just click on the number, it'll copy it to the clipboard, which could be helpful if you wanted to paste it into a calculator, for example. But this is where you can change the units. So our measurement, we still measure the same length, but Google Earth will let you pick, did you want to see it in centimeters? For Lab 12, I would recommend just leaving it in centimeters. Just leave it alone. Or rather, set it to centimeters and forget about it. You could also put it in kilometers if you wanted, but for this lab, I would set it in centimeters. So I'm done measuring that. I'm going to clear it, and I'm going to show you my recommendation. If I was going to measure, I would zoom all the way into the starting point. Like, I can't zoom in anymore. So I'm going to click once there, blink. Then I'm going to zoom out and zoom in to the final clicking point so that I'm zoomed in as far as I can. That'll increase your accuracy with your measurements. So there you go. I've got the length. The diagonal length of the ARC field is 13,255 centimeters, or 132.55 meters, or 0.13 nautical miles. All right, that takes care of how to measure. That takes care of the settings. That takes care of the information that Google Earth is showing you. And that's pretty much it for how to use Google Earth. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'd love to help you with this lab. I hope you enjoy this lab. I hope it's fun. I hope you find it interesting. Good luck.